I'm so mad. I purchased a $4.90 roll-up piano. I'm going to read the listing to you. This is a portable 88-key electronic piano keyboard silicone flexible roll-up piano with pedal. Material PE, piano key quality, 88 keys. Features waterproof, tear resistance, ultra thin, portable. Then the dimensions. So let's take a look at what they sent me. So it comes in this box. As you can see, it actually rolls up really small, which is good. It is lightweight and portable. And actually, this is really small considering you have to get 88 keys and the pedal in this box. I want you to see how beautifully thin this is. PE usually means polyurethane. Polyethylene, my bad. So let's test the tear resistance. Perfect. Listing says it's an electronic piano. Seller sells you a piece of cardboard. Obviously I can't return this now because I just bit a chunk of it off. So we're gonna put it at the top of my Keytar wall, which will be funny. So I've tried to film 2 or 3 different videos about MIDI Keytar controllers that are just MIDI controllers, and I was just having no luck, and like 4 different times I said, I gotta start this over, this is boring, what am I doing? I realized the problem might have been that I didn't have enough MIDI Keytar controllers. So I bought another one. See, I never was really into Pokemon as a child. Maybe I would have gotten this gotta get all of them thing out of my system. My current strategy is, if it's a Keytar, I'm gonna get it. Look at your beauty! Oh my gosh, look at how pretty this is. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's a nice size. Look at the size. This is good. So everybody, this is the Yamaha KX-5 remote keyboard. Midnight, where did you put my batteries? Midnight, we talked about this. Oh no, here they are. Sorry, Mid. I love these little keys. This is so good. Why didn't I want this one before? I also just want to let the record show that, sometimes I buy my own Keytars. I bought this one with my tax return, but I still bought it. I could have put that money in my savings account like a responsible person, but instead I bought a Keytar. So, I started a video about Keytar MIDI controllers, and every time I tried to film it... Okay, so this video was a mess. We're gonna restart it. I'm gonna get a snack, and then we're gonna restart this video, because shit. What was... Alright. And we start again. Like 0 for 3 on attempts on this video. Jeez. It got boring, so I just stopped filming it. And I said as a joke, maybe what I needed was to just buy another Keytar MIDI controller. I did. This is embarrassing because I did it as a joke. And also because I wanted another Keytar, but that's not... I just want all of them. But I did it as a joke, and it did actually make me understand what was wrong with the previous video. The main difference between a synth-type MIDI controller, the difference between one of those and one of these, is that these have an instrument in them, and these ones control an instrument. So, if you plug your Keytar into the wall and into an amp, it doesn't do anything without also plugging it into some form of tone generator, synthesizer, sound box, whatever you want to use. I will say that in a previous video, I said that you might want to get a portable synth-type Keytar instead of a MIDI controller for your first Keytar. And I will still stand by that in certain situations. If you are a non-keyboardist, you probably don't actually have instruments that have MIDI in, which is what you need to plug the Keytar into. These have MIDI out, you plug it into MIDI in, and boom, there's sound. So, I will still stand that if you are a guitarist moving to getting Keytars, or if you have discovered that the Keytar is your true calling but you have no musical backing, a portable synth type Keytar is probably a really good option. But if you already have sound gear, and you already have a sound that you like, and you just want a new way to interact with those sounds, getting a MIDI controller is probably the best option you have. If you're already doing a lot of recording on your computer and you want to manipulate that sound, generating that sound in MIDI is so much easier to do manipulation with, because you can record a track and then change instruments and play that same track in a different software instrument. The other reason why MIDI controllers are fantastic is that they're specialized. For example, when you are buying the Behringher MS-1, you are paying for a really good analog synth that kind of had strap buttons thrown on as an afterthought and a throwback to the thing that they were cloning. The Roland AX-Edge, which is right here. So when you are buying a synth, you're paying for the sounds in it in addition to the controller. And that means that if you are comparing two synth instruments, or two Keytars, one of which is a synth and one of which is a MIDI controller, and they are the same price, you have a vague guarantee that the hardware of the MIDI controller will be better than the hardware of the portable synth. Really good portable synths, like this guy, which you pay for the price. You have really good hardware, you have really good software, they're integrated really well and able to be manipulated to a huge extent, and it's $1,000. The other thing that I hear a lot is people who say, well, why would you not get a synth if you're liking the price? Because it's got a MIDI controller function. And that's a thing I want to discuss. So, 1, 2, 3 of these are not also MIDI controllers. The Behringher MS-1, which yes, has MIDI out, but this entire thing is analog. So you have 175,000 switches on the Behringher MS-1, and when you plug this into a MIDI box, you have the keys. You don't have your pitch bend. None of these other things work, and none of them can be assigned to work because they don't transmit MIDI information. This means that if you are buying a synth Keytar, but you don't really like the sounds and you just want to use it as MIDI, you're going to run into a problem where you have a lot of things that don't work. So now you have paid for the sounds to get an inferior MIDI controller, and then you're not even using the sounds. It's like paying $6 for bagels and lox, pulling off the lox, scraping the cream cheese off on your plate, and eating the bagel, when the bagel wasn't even very good to start with. The only synth that I have found that has MIDI functionality that is equally functional to a designated MIDI controller is the AX-Edge. And yes, I did learn that it's actually pronounced AX-Edge, and that I've been saying it wrong for like 2 years now. But I don't like AX-Edge, so we're gonna go back to AX-Edge and pretend that I don't know. The only Keytar that I've found that has MIDI integration that functions as well as a MIDI controller is $1,000. And if you want to get a MIDI controller that functions as well as the AX-Edge to use it for MIDI, you can get this one, which is $300. There is a big difference in price. You can buy 3 of these and then 9 of these for the cost of the AX-Edge. You don't want to take a sacrifice for quality on a synth if you're not going to use the synth. How do you pick a good MIDI controller? So right here we have 5 MIDI controllers. We have the Korg RK-100. This is not the Korg RK-100S. It is the MIDI controller version. It is not the synth version. We have the Yamaha KX-5. We have the MadCatz Rockband 3 controller. And moving down the list, we have... We have the Alesis Vortex Wireless 2, and my still slightly broken Casio AZ-1. It was once underwater. These are all MIDI controllers, and in theory, if I plug them all into the same MIDI sound box, they should all sound the same. But they don't feel the same, and in fact, they don't sound the same. When you're looking to pick up a MIDI controller, you want to pay attention to, first of all, how does it look, how does it feel? You don't have how does it sound, but how does it feel to wear, and how does it sound to play? How does it feel to wear, and how does it feel to play? There we go. How the keys feel, what their size is, and what kind of expression they have. These have velocity sensitivity, but no aftertouch. These have no velocity sensitivity and no aftertouch. These have good velocity sensitivity, but no aftertouch. These have bad velocity sensitivity and no aftertouch. This has full-size keys and aftertouch. Mine is broken, which means that you need to fucking slam on the keys to make them sound like anything, but it does have aftertouch. The Vortex has really springy keys that make it feel like you're playing super fast, but that are really shocking if you've played a weighted keyboard for most of your life, with really sensitive aftertouch. Depending on how you like to play, you can get different levels of expressivity. That's a real word, right? Expressivity out of different keyboards. So you've got your key bed, you know what size your keys are. This guy and this guy have the same number of keys, but they feel different to play. It's light enough that I can feel like I'm moving properly while wearing it, but it's heavy enough that I don't feel like I'm playing a toy. The Alesis Vortex, the casing of it, feels like a toy, but then the way that the buttons are all laid out, and we'll get to that in a minute, but the way that the buttons are all laid out feels like it's an actual instrument. Unfortunately, most of the time we have to buy Keytars on the internet. And back before my strategy was just buy all of them, put them on the bed, sleep on them like a dragon. Before that was my strat, I did have to look up, you get a lot of specs of how much does it weigh, and things like that, and you just have to guess. So what I would recommend you do is find specs that say how much it weighs. Remember that a cantaloupe weighs about 1 kilogram. Go to the store, purchase as many cantaloupes as it says it weighs in kilograms, and then hold all of them. Weight is a really big deal for me. I'm not a super tiny person, but I do get tired easily. This thing weighs a lot. This thing weighs a lot. And then there is also something we're going to refer to as the undefinable other element. So when you're looking at it and you go, number of keys, how does the key bed feel? Is there aftertouch? What is the number of keys? We said that one twice. There are times where all the specs say you should buy one Keytar, but your heart says to go with another one. And if that's what your heart says, do it. Even if somebody says, well, why did you get that? You could have got it at a better price in a better place. You could have got a better Keytar. Just give them this. The number one way that people choose guitars is price, and the number 2 way is appearance. People will consistently choose a guitar that on the paper is worse for them because they like the way it looks. So then the last thing that can differentiate other MIDI controllers, apart from the sort of obvious things, you get to what really, on paper, makes the difference between different MIDI controllers, and that is buttons and level of expression. A thing that older Keytars have a huge focus on is sound select. Sound select on the body. A few controls on the neck, where you do most of your sound manipulation, and then patch select on the body, and that is how all 3 of these vintage MIDI controllers work. With the new one, with the Vortex, you have 8 instrument manipulation on the body, and then you have sound manipulation on the neck. And what I mean by that is that if you already have a note playing and you want to change the note, you use the neck. And if you have an instrument set up and you want to change a parameter, and you can change anything that you can program into the system. I can set this one to be cut off, and I can set etc., etc. So I can control the elements of my virtual synth the same way I control my analog synth here with this instrument. And that is a very important thing to take note of, because I don't have another instrument except the actual monophonic analog synth that will let me manipulate all the elements of the sound and of the instrument like I'm playing an analog synth. The other thing is just the sound controls. This has a pitch strip. This has a pitch strip. Does it have a sustain button? I like the sustain button on these. It's big, it's easy to find. Both of them are located at an angle so that you don't accidentally press them, meaning to press something else. This guy has a sustain button that is the same shape and is right next to jam mode. And you don't want to press jam mode if you want to be a real musician. You have two mod wheels on the RK-100, but they snap down to 0. So you can't set it to 5 and then leave it there, which makes it really annoying to set it as cut off or something like that. This doesn't have crap all. You can set your keys to turn on, attack, and decay just by pressing buttons down on your far left or far right side. So if I want to, I can give this a sustain button and a cutoff control. The only problem is this only has 2 octaves, and if I want to program this to control functions, then I don't have them to play on. So there's a lot of MIDI controlling where you can get around stuff. You can say, I like it this way, and this is the way I want it to be. How many wheels does it have to control modulation? What kind of effects can I get out of that? Does it have keys that let me express what I want? How much do I play with sustain? What does the sustain button feel like? What kind of balance does this have? How often do I change patches in the middle of a performance? Do I need to manipulate this like I would manipulate like a standstill keyboard or a organ or a digital piano? Because in the end, 5 Keytars, 5 MIDI Keytars playing the same patch will sound different and they will feel different to play. So you need to look and say, are these the things I want? Do you own MIDI Keytars? Do you only own synth Keytars? Do you own synth Keytars because you thought that setting up MIDI was going to be complicated? That's the other thing. Setting up MIDI is not complicated. You know when you get a brand new phone and you have to sit there and import all your contacts and get all the settings back to how you like them and import your pictures and things like that? And that's a huge pain, but after you've done that, using the phone is pretty effortless. It's very similar with these. With any Keytar I have that has USB MIDI, that's just plug and play, so the Vortex, the Lucina, the Edge, and the Sonogenic 500 all have USB MIDI, and I can plug it into my iPad, and that's the end of me thinking about how I do that. If they've got 5-pin, I usually plug them into... Oh yeah, that's the other thing that I forgot. When you are buying a MIDI controller, in addition to getting better specialized hardware, the Vortex is objectively a better controller than the Sonogenic is a controller. That you get access to specialty synths. So if you want a monophonic synth, and you just want to play that, your options are getting the Behringher MS-1 or getting a MIDI controller that lets you control a MIDI controllable analog synth. I want to play music through my Game Boy. Catskill Electronics has a setup for that. You can't do that not with MIDI. It's a specialty MIDI instrument, and if that's what your main thing is, why would you spend money to get a sort of generic synth? They've got piano sounds. These have organ sounds. The Sonogenic has no organ sounds. They've got monosynth, they've got polysynth, they've got pads. But if you only want a specific sound out of your instrument, why would you spend money on a bunch of sounds that you're not going to use when you can just get a really good synth and a really good Keytar and get an instrument that's better for you, for what you're doing, than you would be to get a all-in-one instrument. With each of your MIDI controllers, I say as if you're going to have 5, open up your software and program it, and that can take an hour, a couple hours, and then save that file. Then all you have to do is plug it in and open that file. So when people say it's too hard to set up a MIDI controller, I hear either you didn't try, or you didn't try very hard. Or you plug it into GarageBand on your iPad, that's it. One of the advantages of MIDI is that it is a way to get controllers to talk to synths. And they just do it. It's standardized, and it's been standardized for so long that even though sometimes, like with the Behringher MS-1, you can't use all of the functions of it with MIDI, I can plug this into anything that has MIDI in on it and use it. I don't need drivers, I don't need complicated setups, I can just plug it in and away it goes. And that means that if you have a driverless 5-pin to USB MIDI adapter or interface, which I don't, mine needs a driver and that's why I can't use these on my iPad, all you have to do is plug it in and there you go. That is basically it. MIDI controllers let you reprogram a lot of things that you don't like. You can say, for example, when I play the RK-100, I program the volume wheel, which doesn't snap up and down, to control my cutoff, and then I can control vibrato, and I can control other shit. With the pitch wheels, or the MG wheel, the definable wheels, that's what they're called. You can set them to do things that you want in a way that you can't with other controllers. For example, if I could move the sustain button anywhere away from the jam mode button, I would like this thing a lot better. If you wish that the cat was on the video for this whole bed, if you wish that the cat was on the bed for this whole video, leave it in the comments. Hey. Hi everybody, editing me here. I was watching this and I realized that I never filmed a proper outro to this. So, I hope everybody is staying safe. Don't do dumb shit. Don't lick things you don't know where they've been. Good night.